What is going on, y'all? My name is Powerful Noun, and today I'm going to be talking with you guys about Enhancement Shaman PVE DPS. This is another one of those hybrid classes that has a lot of stigma attached to it, where people are going to be trying to down talk you for playing this in PVE, but on this fucking channel, we do what we want, when we want, and so I'm going to teach you guys how to be the best Enhancement Shaman you can possibly be. First, we're going to go over pre-raid best in slot. Some of the items are going to be a little bit different than what's available on Elysium, but I'm going to at least give you a general idea of the items that you should have and the kind of stats to look for. We're going to go over rotation, we're going to go over add-ons, we're going to go over consumables, we're going to go over stat priority, and then at the end of the video, like always, I'm going to give you guys some tips to help you improve your play and to keep you positive in the face of all the negativity that you're going to receive for trying to play this. So I'd like to preface this gear by saying that some of these items might not be attainable. I don't have access to an Elysium database, so I don't know exactly what we're going to have, but the majority of these should be obtainable. Your best in slot helmet is going to be Crown of Tyranny. You can get this from Scholomance from the last boss on the living side. His name is Balnazzar. The best in slot neck piece is a quest reward from a quest called In Dreams. It starts in Eastern Plaguelands, but you can only start it once you've done a long chain. It starts with a guy called Tiron Fordring, and the quest that starts the entire chain is called Demon Dogs. Best in slot shoulders are going to be the True Strike shoulders. These are from the first boss on Upper Blackrock Spire. His name is Pyroguard Emberseer. There's going to be lots of competition for these, but you got to hustle through it. You got to get them. You need them for hit cap. Best in slot cloak is Cape of the Black Baron. This drops off Baron Rivendare, the last boss in Strat Undead. Best in slot chest piece, legs, and boots are going to be the Black Dragonscale. These are crafted by a Dragonscale leather worker, and you need them 100% for the hit cap. Best in slot bracers are the Slash Claw bracers. They drop in Lower Blackrock Spire from the wolf boss Halcyon. Best in slot gloves are Voon's Vice Grips. You get these as a quest reward from the quest Warlord's Command, which has you go into Lower Blackrock Spire. You get this from Warlord Goretooth, a NPC at Kargath in the Badlands. For lack of a better option on belts, I went with Cloudrunner Girdle. It drops off of the boss Quartermaster Zigris in the instance Lower Blackrock Spire. First best in slot ring is Painweaver Band. Drops off the last boss in Upper Blackrock Spire, General Drakkisath. Second best in slot ring is the Blackstone ring. Drops off the last boss in Maraudon, Princess Theradras. Lots of competition for this one, so it might be a grind unless you get lucky. First best in slot trinket going to be the Hand of Justice. This is off the last boss in Blackrock Depths, Emperor Dagran Thaurissan. Very confusing name. Lots and lots of competition for this one. It's going to be a tough get, but worth the grind. Second best in slot trinket is Ring of the Guard Captain. This item is a quest reward. You start this quest in the Hinterlands at the quest hub there, Rivendare Village. It starts at a wanted poster just outside of the inn. The quest is called Job Opening, Guard Captain of Rivendare Village. If you watch my Paladin guide, you know that I don't really like this item, but there just really isn't anything that's going to make you do more damage than Nightfall and Enhancement Shaman. I don't like it for a lot of reasons. Not only is it ugly as hell, but it puts you kind of into a position to where like you're only there to give people this buff, and it's really expensive. I don't know. It's one of those items that I think shouldn't have been in the game. Nightfall is crafted by a master blacksmith. It is very expensive to get crafted, but if you show that your guild that you're dedicated to being their Enhancement Shaman for the guild, there's no reason why they shouldn't help you get this crafted. If you don't want to use Nightfall, alternatives to this are Arcanite Reaper or Dreadforge Retaliator. Both very cheap, very easy to obtain. There's not a ton of build variety whenever it comes to talents for Enhancement Shaman in PvE. The only thing that's really going to change is if you can't get hit cap on gear, your talents are going to look a little bit like this. This talent will guarantee that you can get hit cap. It gives you 3% additional hit. So if you're having trouble getting it on your gear, and you still want to go ahead and hop into raids with the gear that you have, you want to make sure that you're taking that talent so that you're hit capped. If you are hit capped, you're going to want to go with something like this. This is just going to give you a bit more DPS, so you can impress your friends and your guild mates and things like that. It's just going to buff up your fire totems a bit and get those numbers up on the damage meter. If you don't like the talents I've suggested, I heavily encourage that you try your own. But the talents that you absolutely must have no matter what you take are going to be these two here. These are going to buff up your totems in the range. As an Enhancement Shaman, you're essentially there to be a buff bot. That's it. You're there to keep your totems down and ensure that your teammates are getting those buffs so that the DPS stays high and the bosses go down. Anything else you want to experiment with, I highly recommend that you do it. The best way to learn how to play your class is to explore every single avenue, every single idea that you have. It's entirely up to you. Stat priorities are going to go as follows. So the most important stat and the thing that you need to do immediately upon working on your best in slot gear before you go into a raid is get hit cap. You need 7% hit rating if you're using an axe. The second stat on the priority list is going to be critical strike chance. So you need around 33% to keep Flurry up almost 100% of the time. It's going to be hard to get that in the pre-raid best in slot gear, but you can get pretty close. Also look out for agility. Every 20 or 21 agility is a 1% crit, I believe. The third stat you want to worry about is going to be strength and attack power. Every 1 point of strength is 2.2 AP, so every single amount of strength you can get is awesome. Once you've got hit cap and you've got 33% critical strike, the only thing you can do to really increase your damage is to stack strength. The Enhancement Shaman DPS rotation is extremely simple. It essentially consists of using Stormstrike and then using Earthshock to consume one of the Stormstrike's charges before the Stormstrike debuff is removed from the target by other debuffs. However, your DPS rotation isn't super duper important. Your DPS is really based on pure RNG. Wind Fury is nothing but RNG, and if you don't get good RNG, your DPS is going to be kind of poop no matter what. No matter what your stats, no matter what your gear, there's no way around it. So in order to make sure that you benefit your team as much as you possibly can, make sure that you're keeping your totems up all the time. Depending on what group you're in, you're going to use Strength of Earth totem, Grace of Air totem, or Wind Fury totem. Grace of Air and Wind Fury totem are both wind totems, so if you're in a group with hunters, you're going to want to keep the Grace of Air totem down. If you're in a group with warriors or rogues, you're going to want to keep that Wind Fury totem down so that their numbers are very impressive and dwarf yours by comparison. But you're there, you're doing your part, and that's all that matters. Also, if you have the mana for it, make sure you keep Mana Spring totem down if you're in a group with hunters. It is very, very helpful for them. If you aren't familiar with vanilla PvE content, consumables can increase your DPS by a metric fuck ton, so I'm going to go over all the important ones with you guys and let you know which ones I think you should definitely go for and which ones are okay, not really that important. So anytime you step into a raid, you should at the very least have a Mongoose and an Elixir of Giants on you. They are extremely cheap, very easy to obtain, and increase your stats and your DPS by quite a bit. Winterfall Firewater is a consumable I would recommend you bring if your guild is pushing for progression. You guys are trying to get past a place where you've been stuck previously. Bring this with you. It's going to give you that edge you need to get that boss down. These are farmed in Winterspring off the Winterfall Furbolgs. Jujus are another one of those items that I'd recommend bringing if your guild is trying to progress, or if you just want to make sure your numbers are super duper fluffy. But these are a quest reward from a quest that is started in Winterspring. The quest starts with the chain of Little Luck. You should always bring some form of mana consumable with you to a raid no matter what. Dark runes don't share a cooldown with mana potions. Dark runes and demonic runes. You can farm these either in Skolo off the mini bosses or Satyrs in Felwood, and major mana pots are made by an alchemist. This item is called Roids. It increases your strength by 25 for an hour. It's a quest reward from a repeatable quest called Snickerfang Giles that started in the Blasted Lands from an NPC named Bloodmage Draziel. You can only carry one of these, so you'll want to farm enough materials to turn in the quest twice, turn it in once, use the buff, turn it in again, and then head to your raid. For your food buff, you're going to want the Smoked Desert Dumplings. These increase your strength by 20 for 15 minutes. There is no better food buff in the game for enhancement. I don't really recommend using a flask for DPS. Neither of the available DPS flasks really add much to enhancement, so I wouldn't waste the gold on it. Just save your gold. You don't need all of these to do DPS, but if you bring them, it's going to show your guild that you're really dedicated to being the hybrid DPS class, and it's going to show that you really care about the progression of the guild. So think about it before you do it. Think about it if that's the kind of impression you want to make, and then decide if it's the best thing for you. The only add-on that I 100% recommend that you use in Enhancement Shaman is going to be the add-on Totem Timers. Now, what this add-on does is it gets a small bar. You can place this bar anywhere you want to on the screen, and it shows you which totems you have down of that type of element. It shows you how long they have left until they expire, and it'll also display a message in the chat whenever the totems are about to expire. This is extremely important in focusing on keeping your totems down, because sometimes in a raid things can get a bit chaotic. So definitely recommend this add-on. The only other add-on I'd recommend you getting is going to be a threat meter. Earthshock causes a ton of threat, and you kind of have to use it to do a decent amount of DPS. A lot of guys will recommend that you don't use this, and you can follow those guys if you want to, but Earthshock does add a lot of damage to your DPS, and if you want to make sure you're doing DPS, enough DPS to keep yourself from being called out in your voice comms or in guild chat or raid chat, I would definitely recommend getting a threat meter and using as many Earthshocks as you can in your rotation. So as always, at the end of all my videos, I like to leave you guys that have watched the video all the way through with some tips that are going to help you be a better shaman, that are going to help you be a better player, and also some words of encouragement. So you're going to get discouraged a lot playing these hybrid classes in DPS, in PVE, but you should stick it out. It's a rewarding experience. So we'll go ahead and start with tip number 1. I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, because I've already said it a bunch of times throughout the guide, but keep your goddamn totems down. Keep your totems down. That's your job. Your job is to keep the totems down. Do it and everyone will love you, and they probably won't care about your DPS. Tip number 2, don't get discouraged by low DPS numbers. There's nothing you can do about it. The rotation is extremely simple. It's all based on RNG. It's all pure luck. If your DPS isn't that great, there's nothing you can do about it. So don't let it get you down. Do your part, get in there and do what you're supposed to do, and get out, collect your gear. Tip number 3, get a healing set. You don't even have to respec, honestly, to heal 5-mans as enhanced. You can just switch your gear out and heal and collect your gear so much easier than if you were trying to go in there as DPS. No one's going to yell at you if you roll on DPS gear while you're healing. If they do, you can literally tell them to go fuck yourselves because you're a much more important role than they are. But don't tell your guild about it. If you do, they're probably going to try to push you into healing and raids. So keep it a secret, get your gear, and put that shit in the bank. And the last tip, and the tip that I have at the end of all of my hybrid guides like this, don't give up. If you want to DPS as a hybrid class, then do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't. Show up to the raid with full consumables and prove to everyone that you're more dedicated to playing an interesting class and excelling at it than they are at pressing Frostbolt 117 times on one boss. You can do this. I believe in you. Don't give up on playing the class that you want to play just because someone else tells you that you shouldn't. Alright guys, if you watched to the end of the video, thank you so much. I am making these guides for people like you, people who want to sit through the entire experience and learn as much as they can about these classes that are really underrepresented. Thank you. If you learned anything from this video, please hit that like button. YouTube favors content with activity on it, so if you hit the like button, it's going to guarantee that more people see this video, more people come to this channel, and more people are going to be encouraged to play classes like this in the future. If you like my content, subscribe. I live stream. Come and hang out with me and the stream boys. I would love to see you guys in there.